Hello. Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to wait a minute. I know I am not Lisa. I'm Ellen. I'm taking over for Lisa today, and you can ask me anything. That's what Lisa told me, that you guys would ask me anything. So I'm going to wait right till 11:30, and then we'll get started. Hi, everyone who's joining. If anyone can just say in the comments that you can hear me, that would be great, because I'm always paranoid that I'm not doing it right. And so just say hi. Just tell me you can hear me in the comments. Yay, yes, thank you, friend. Somebody can hear me? All right, it's 11:30. Hello, everyone. My name is Ellen Frost, and I am the owner of Local Color Flowers. Local Color Flowers. We are a floral design studio located in Baltimore, Maryland, and we source all of our flowers locally. So we've been in business for about 15 years, and I'm excited to talk to you today. So besides owning LocoFlow, I offer and teach 2 classes on the Gardener's Workshop. One is called Preparing to Sell to Florists. So it's a short course. It costs $50, and I think it's about 2 hours long, and you can learn about preparing to sell to florists, and I can talk about that. And then also I offer a long course called Growing Your Business with Local Flower Sourcing, which is all about how to source local flowers if you're a florist or floral designer or farmer florist. So I hope you'll check those out. If you've taken them, I hope you liked them. If you're considering taking them, I'm happy to answer any questions about that too. So you can ask me anything today. Lisa says to put your questions not in the comments, but in the little circle with the question. So down at the bottom, there is a little question circle, and you can put your questions in there, and I will check them in there. So cool. I have a question. Let's see. Oh, and I have to wear glasses. Okay, first question. How far in advance do you like to know about an upcoming flower? For example, garden roses that won't be ready until the following spring. Great question. I would say we always appreciate any heads up about a new flower that's coming. So if we're working with a farmer and they know that next year they're going to have something growing that we don't know about or we've never had, that's great. Definitely the sooner the better, because the more we know, the better we can plan for events ahead. So sure, as long as you can give me in advance. And that's different than like pre-ordering. You're not talking about pre-ordering. So just letting me know, or letting a florist know what you're growing. Yeah, long in advance, a year in advance, great. If you're planning that far ahead, it's great to let us know. All right, let's see. More questions. Okay, so I should have told you I'm a florist. If you didn't know that, I'm a florist. I don't grow any flowers. And so Lisa, who is your normal host, grows lots of flowers. And even Petal Pickers, I think he was on last week. He's a flower grower. Those folks are going to be able to answer flower questions for you. I am not going to be able to answer growing questions because I just don't know. So this person says, do you recommend Miracle Grow as a fertilizer for your flowers or vegetables? I don't know. I don't really grow anything, so I can't answer. Maybe if anybody else wants to chime in, but I would bring that question back next time when a flower farmer is here. Okay, next question. Where do you source your flowers in the winter? Great question. So we're in Baltimore, Maryland. So we're in zone 7A, 6B, 7B, somewhere in there. I don't know, with climate change, things seem to be changing. So we source field flowers until frost, and that is like mid-October or the end of October. And then sort of shoulder season, which means we've already had a frost, but I don't know. It means we've already had a frost, but it's still kind of warm, and stuff can be in unheated hoop houses. So we have lots of growers around here that grow in unheated hoop houses. And then when it's really cold, like winter, we have about maybe 8 to 10 winter growers. And those are folks that grow in heated greenhouses, and they heat all different ways. So we have people that heat with solar, people that heat with wood burning stoves, people that heat with gas, propane, all kinds of things. So those are folks, folks that have heated greenhouses. And we have growers, winter growers here in Maryland and in Pennsylvania that we buy from. And I guess maybe 1 or 2 in Virginia. So that's what we do in the winter. And sometimes we go outside of our 100-mile radius. So for us, we say we source all of our flowers locally. And for us, local is within 100 miles. In the winter, there is occasion that we buy anemones from Battenfelds, and they're on Long Island, and they are 200 miles away. So in that case, we always let people know that, but Battenfelds is a great family-run farm. They're 100 years old. They only grow anemones and Christmas trees, and they do ship anemones in the winter, and they're great. Great quality, great customer service, just great people, super nice. So if things are bad around here, we do get anemones from Battenfelds. So that's what we do in the winter. And frankly, you know, stuff is slower in the winter, so we don't need the volume that we need during the season. So it's okay that we have fewer growers to choose from. All right, I'm checking questions in the little question box, so make sure to type them in there. Oh, do I have a favorite flower? You know, week to week it changes. I would say overall, tulips are my favorite, and I would say tulips, fancy tulips. Yeah, I love them. I love lots of flowers, but I especially love local tulips. Okay, more questions. Let's see. Sorry, I have to put my glasses back on. What is a fair average price per stem when we are selling wholesale to florists and wedding venues? Okay, first, every flower is going to be different. So pricing, is tricky, and every flower is going to be different. Every market is different. So depending on where you are in the country, I have to say that our new class, Preparing to Sell to Florists, has an entire section on pricing, and I would recommend taking the class and learning all about pricing. Pricing is something you have to really take time and effort to work on. It's just not a thing that's easy or simple, but it's the thing that's going to keep us all in business. So yeah, I would suggest the class if you want. Like I said, there's a whole section on pricing. Okay, let's see. Can you spell the name of the grower in Long Island? Oh yeah, Battenfeld. B-A-T-T-E-N-F-E-L-D, Battenfeld. And if you look them up, they're, like I said, anemones and Christmas trees. All right, let's see. I'm looking. Add your questions. You can ask me anything. I might not be able to answer, but you can ask me anything. Okay, I'm ready to start selling to a local florist. I don't have tons of flowers, mostly dahlias. First step, drop off some flowers as samples. So this is what our entire short course is about. Like I said, it's called Preparing to Sell to Florists. And oh good, so look, in the comments somebody said they took the class. It was awesome and they learned a lot. Highly recommend. Thank you. In the class, we take you step by step on what to do to approach a florist. There is, I think, if you want to be successful, a lot of preparation that goes into getting ready to sell to a florist. I would not cold call or cold show up. Samples are great, but I would say do your homework before before you get there. I see some other people saying that they took the class and loved it. So hopefully you might check it out. But yes, samples are great. We love getting samples. We always try to keep the samples in the shop so that we can use them ourselves just to see how they work before we send them out. So yeah, samples are great. Okay, keep putting your questions in the little box where the question mark is. Is this class specific to the US or can info be used in Australia? Yeah, it can be used anywhere. I don't think there's really anything very specific to the United States. I know some people in Canada have already taken it. So yeah, I think it's super flexible. It's mostly about like preparing to sell to a florist. So what do you do before you reach out to them? What kind of research do you do? What kind of homework do you do? And then how to price things. And it's not, I'm not telling you price a zinnia at 80 cents. I'm telling you how to come up with a price. So that makes sense, I think, for anyone, anywhere. And then we talk about availability lists and what goes into an availability list, what you should put on it, how you should send it, why it's important, things like that. So it's everything to help you sort of gain confidence and get ready to approach a florist. What's your top 3 most versatile fillers? What can I say? Fillers. So Status is a filler, I guess. We love Status. Early summer, we love like Yarrow and Feverfew, like those kind of things. Tansy, I love Tansy. I think it's a weed. I love Tansy. We're getting some today, so it's on my mind. Those are some good ones. I'm trying to think of something in the fall, like Celosius. That's not really filler, but kind of. Yeah, those are some that we love. All right, let's see. How to sign up for the class. Oh, you can just go to the Gardener's Workshop website. thegardenersworkshop.com, and if you go to online classes, there will be a link for the class. It's called Preparing to Sell to Florists. And maybe if somebody from Gardener's Workshop is on here, maybe you can post a link in the notes. All right, more questions. Hello, on average, what do you pay for a single stem of sunflower? Small, medium, large. Thanks for being here today. Oh, thanks. I don't know, maybe between $1.10 and $1.50 for sunflower. Depends, I guess. Oh, thanks. Kelly just posted the link to the class in the notes. So yeah, sunflowers maybe $1.10, $1.10 to $1.50. The thing with sunflowers, if you're selling to florists, is I would check with them on how they like their sunflowers to come, because the ASCFG, if you look at the post-harvest book, I think says that you harvest when one petal or a couple petals are sticking up, so that the bloom is closed, but a couple petals are just starting to open. And maybe Lisa has something about when you should harvest sunflowers. I'm sure she does. Some florists want their sunflowers totally open because they want to use them right away. And some want them closed and want to use them later and have them open, in the cooler or in the shop. Harvesting them closed with just a couple petals open, I think Dave would say this too. During transport, sunflowers can get really damaged. And if a sunflower comes to us and has like one petal missing, we can't use it. Or if one petal has like a blemish or a bruise or something like that, then we won't use it. So harvesting closed and transporting closed is better, I think. Okay, I'm keeping going. I have a wholesaler wanting to buy from me who also services some of my florists. What should I do? Okay, so a wholesaler wants to buy from you, flower farmer, and that wholesaler also sells to some of your florists. What should you do? Well, I think that's a good question. I would say figure out what is most important to you. If the relationship that you have with the florists is most important and you don't want to irritate them by selling to the wholesaler and then making them buy from the wholesaler, then I'd say maybe think twice. If you are going to be able to sell like all your flowers to the wholesaler and you can basically like do everything in one fell swoop, then maybe that's great. But the wholesaler, I'm thinking, generally is going to pay you a lower price. But like I said, if they can take everything, then great. So that might be easier. Your florists, I think, are probably going to pay more if they buy directly from you. So yeah. I guess it's just a matter of like, what's your priority? If, like we have, like Seaberry Farm is one of our farmers. And I'm trying to think of like an example in my life. Seaberry Farm is a farmer in our area and they sell to wholesalers. We don't have a lot of growers that sell to wholesalers. They sell to the wholesaler. So if they said to me, we can't sell to you, you have to buy through the wholesaler. If I really needed their stuff, I probably would get it. But I probably would I'd rather pay them the full price than pay a middleman. Does that make sense? But again, just what's the priority? Trying to go for ease, trying to go for volume, trying to go for relationships. Okay, I'm keeping going. Let's see. What are your favorite perennials to use in arrangements? Well, I'm trying to think. Let's start in the spring. What are perennials? When we go through bulbs, I guess we start at peonies. Peonies, that's a perennial that we love. Obviously, I mean, we do a ton of work with peonies. Our peony growers are really amazing. Solomon seal is a foliage, but it is a perennial foliage and we love it. And then what else? I'm trying to think of like in the summer, what is hydrangea. We don't use a ton of hydrangea, but you know, they're a great perennial. Those are the ones I can think of right now. I don't know. I feel like everything feels like an annual to me. Lilac. I mean, those are like shrubs though. Things like lilac are great. I guess tell me some perennials you're growing and I'll tell you if I like them. I can't think of any off the top of my head. All right. Keep putting your questions in. What are your top tips for making cut flowers last longer? Okay, great. This is something I know. Keep the water clean. By doing that, you can change the water every single day. That's the best thing to do. Flower food is great, but really keeping the water clean every day is the best thing. So empty the water, put clean water in. Also, Sweet William, sure, love it. Butterfly bush, we don't use it a ton. Next tip for keeping your flowers fresh, give all your stems a little trim, maybe about 1/4 inch every day or two. Keep them out of direct sunlight, so not hot. Don't put them on top of a radiator. Don't put them in like a sunny window. Don't put them anywhere hot. And then I would say as you see stems that are looking kind of cruddy, take each stem out as they look cruddy so that you have the good stuff in there and you don't have the rotting stuff in there. Those are my tips. Use great quality flowers and make sure make sure all the leaves are stripped and that there's no leaves in the water. All right. I'm keeping going on questions. What are summer annuals that can go in the cooler? We put everything in the cooler. I know you're not supposed to, but Our space is hot. We're not in there a lot. The air conditioning isn't on all the time. So everything goes in the cooler. So that means like zinnias still go in the cooler. We don't buy a ton of zinnias. We have one grower who has found a bunch of zinnias that, don't have as many problems as zinnias can have. So the Oklahoma series, some of the Queen Orange, or some of the lime, the Queen Orange lime or the Queen Red lime, Aztec zinnias, Persian carpet. Those are ones that seem to do fine in the cooler. They actually seem fine. Basil, I know, is something that shouldn't go in the cooler, and we actually have stopped using basil a lot because of that. We just can't seem to get it right. But everything else goes in the cooler. How do you like to communicate about color with growers to make sure you are on the same page? I tend to ask for some color inspo pics if it's not a florist I've sold to a lot. Any other suggestions? Good question. Most of the growers that we work with send availability lists. And most of those availability lists have pictures. So we are basically, for the most part, not communicating our desire for the color, but we're looking at what they have and then choosing colors that we need. If we do have to tell a grower a color that we're looking for, we will share some inspiration pictures. Some growers don't like that, frankly. Some growers are like, look, you're the designer. This is not my thing. Please don't send me a Pinterest board with a million pictures and ask me the difference between coral and apricot and peach and things like that. So we rely heavily on the availability list from the grower to choose the colors that we want. We've had issues. Everybody's had issues probably. So buying something that is called red or flame, and in the picture it looks red, but then when it gets here it's orange. Or, things that just look different in a picture. But that's generally how we go about it. But yeah, any sort of pictures, Pinterest boards, inspiration pictures, all that's great. All right, I'm looking at the questions. What temp do you keep your cooler? 43, 44. We have a cool bot, and if you have a cool bot, you love it probably like we do. We've had it ever since we moved into this space, which was about 10 years ago. We've replaced the air conditioner a couple times, but we love the cool bot. And we have 4 inches of insulation on the walls and 4 inches on the floor underneath the concrete. We poured concrete on top of that. And so it runs about 43 or 44. And that's fine for us. We don't need a cooler. And yeah, that's our cooler. All right, let's see. What other questions? Sorry, I'm trying to read quick. 3 favorite varieties of tulips. No, I don't. Here's the thing. Because we buy locally, we're buying all the tulips. We love parrot tulips. We love anything fringy. We love anything that is unique and different and not just a single tulip. And of course, single tulips are great. Menton, which is a beautiful color. It's always super tall. The bloom is huge. And we love it. But for the most part, I'd say the fancier the better, because if our customers are coming to us for tulips, they could just go to the grocery store or Whole Foods and get, plain tulips for $5.99 or Trader Joe's for $5.99 a bunch. So we really have to have unique, interesting things. Brown sugar is one that I love, and it's fragrant and it's got a weird brown orange color. So I'd say depending on what your florists are looking for us, we are always looking for the most unique varieties. How do you get a sale from a florist who seems to be interested in local but hasn't bought anything yet? This is a great question. So we have people like this, right? So people know that we buy local, and farmers come to us all the time and try to sell to us. And sometimes we just can't, we don't have enough work to buy all of the flowers out there. So even though we're on people's availability lists, depending on the week, we just can't buy as much. So we prioritize the growers that we have been buying from for a long time, who we have great relationships with, who take care of us, who we know and have good relationships with. And so maybe if we have a big week, we would order from somebody new, or sort of go to the next tier of people that we don't buy from that much. So maybe that a florist has a couple people that they're already buying from, and they may not need any more local right now. But I would say maybe stay in touch with them, keep sending them availability lists, keep, doing all the things. I don't know, comment on their social media, stop in their shop, bring them some samples, let them know that you want to work with them, and just keep at it. Relationships, frankly, this is something we talk about in our big course, growing your business with local flower sourcing, is that the relationship between the farmer and the florist, if it's like going to be a relationship that stands the test of time, is like any other relationship. It's like a marriage, frankly. It takes a while to build up and to build, and it takes constant love. It takes constant sort of work. And so, it takes, sometimes it's years before we buy from a grower, even though we've been in relationship with them for a while. Or something changes, and we might need them more one year than we did another year. So I'd say keep at it. Keep being friendly with them, keep educating them, keep sharing stuff with them, and keep it up. Good. That's a great question. All right, let me see what else. As a florist, would you rather see the flower in person or picture? Picture is fine. Florists are visual. We're visual. We're in a visual art form, a visual job, we're visual. So pictures are great. Just make sure that they're clear, they're, true to color, things like that. Which flowers seek the best to florists because they don't ship well? Things like zinnias, dahlias, poppies, sweet peas, cosmos, anything that feels delicate or hard to send. So those are some. I love gladiolas. Am I the only one? Do florist designers use them? And if so, what color? Okay, you're not the only one. I love glads too. But they definitely have I don't know what to say, fallen out of favor with florists. There is some feeling that they're like funeral flowers. I never had that connotation, so I never was sort of carrying that along with me. John McEwen, one of our growers from Locust Point Flowers, grows glads, and some of them are just too big for us to use in a lot, but people love them at the farmer's market. For us, we love more of the mini varieties, or John has some two-toned ones. He has a mini variety that's red with a white tip that's really pretty. I don't know the names of any of these. But, glads, they're great. They're just not super versatile. They're front facing, they're really big, and they have sort of a bad rap. So I would say try to find some that are unique colors, the smaller varieties, any two-toned ones, fringy, really fringy ones, and try to sell them that way. All right, let me see. Are there any other questions? Okay, so it's 12 o'clock and I'm going to try to quick look through the comments. If you have a question last minute, put it in where the little question mark is on the bottom so I can easily see it. Somebody said, how do you price flowers to a local florist? I'm struggling to find pricing that would be relevant to my area, which is Tennessee. I think I mentioned before, we have a whole pricing section in our class. The class is $50. It's about 2 hours. You can order it. It's on demand right now. And we give you a lot of ways to figure out pricing. So how to look at other prices, where to look at other prices, how to figure out your own pricing, how to know what your market can handle. All of that is included. All right, just double checking. These were all good questions. Okay, here's one. Do you buy mixed colors or only want one color bunches? Great question. And actually, I run the Florist Buying Local Instagram, and I was going to make a post on there soon. We got a mixed bunch of Sweet William the other day, and I was like, you know what? Mixed bunches are just no good. Because what happened was there was like 3 matching pinks, 5 non-matching pinks, all different, a white and a red. And I was like, okay, so I have one bunch of Sweet William. I want to make an arrangement and I want to use the white, but there's only one white and the pinks don't really match. So if I'm going to use those, I'm using like non-matching pinks. So I don't know. No, we prefer straight bunches. So, you know, a bunch of orange zinnias, a bunch of orange dahlias, not a 10-stem bunch of rainbow colored zinnias. It might work for a florist who does more retail, but for us, didn't work that well. All right, it says there's one more question. I don't really... All right, I'm going to do this last one if I can find it. I'm looking. Oh, okay. Last question of the day. And let me tell you, don't worry. If you like hearing from me, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Does a crop failure turn you away from a farmer, or is it dependent on your relationship? This is an excellent question. So I'm thinking that you mean if somebody sends me something and it sucks, does that turn me off to them? For whatever reason, like it gets here, and I'll give you an example of one time this happened. I mean, it happens all the time, but let me give you an example. A few years ago, we bought like a lot of tulips from a grower, like $1,000 worth of tulips. And I will tell you that it was late in the season for tulips. And this is really before I got crazy about tulips and before I got as educated about tulips as I needed to be. So they came, and I did not ask if they had been dry stored, which I should have done because they had been, but the grower did not dry store them correctly. And so they were dry stored. They were given to us. We did not know they were dry stored. And we sent a bunch out for deliveries, but then we were planning to use a bunch for a very big event. It was actually for the Garden Club of America. It was very stressful because some of those tulips had already gone out. The ones we were using for the event for Garden Club of America started to open in the shop, and we saw that they were all moldy, like fully moldy. Oh my God. So we freaked out. We called the grower and let them know what happened and took pictures, sent them to them. And mostly we did this because we wanted them to know that this was a problem, because you couldn't see that it was a problem when they were closed. And I didn't want them to be sending them out to other florists, because we would continue to buy from them anyways, because we like this grower, we want to help them learn, whatever. But some florists probably would see a moldy tulip, and even if they got their money back, they probably would never buy from them again. So we reached out to the grower to let them know. And then we also reached out to our customers who received those flowers and let them know. And then we called Dave, if you know Dave. We called Dave because I felt like we needed to understand dry stored tulips better, because it's really a tricky process. And if you're not doing it right, there are all kinds of risks. So Dave walked me through all of this stuff about why it might have happened. And then also for us, because we had them in the cooler, and so there was mold in the cooler, and oh my God, the stress. And not to mention that we bought all these tulips that we needed for an event, and then we didn't have enough flowers for the event. So that did not turn me off to that farmer, because they were learning too. And they didn't know. If they had knowingly sent me a product that was moldy, I probably would not buy from them again. But this grower was as stressed as we were. So sorry, so stressed. They gave us our money back. We actually wrote an article together about it for the ASCFG, for the Cut Flower Quarterly, as a way for people to learn about stored tulips. So no, I mean, everybody makes mistakes. I would say this is why, like I said in our big class, Growing Your Business with Local Flower Sourcing, we talk so much, 3 hours, about how to build relationships between farmers and florists. Because if those relationships are strong, then these kind of mistakes, while they're stressful, are not going to break the relationship. Nobody was intentionally trying to send us a bad product. So the better relationship you have between the farmer and the florist, the less likely it is that the relationship is going to be ruined as a result. So that's what I got for you guys today. I appreciate you listening, and bring your more questions back. Bring more questions back. I'll be back in 2 weeks. And you can follow me if you're interested in finding out what's going on at LocoFlow. You can follow us at Local Color Flower. And we would love to have you follow along. That's it. I will see you in 2 weeks. I hope you guys stay cool, keep growing, keep selling, keep doing all your flower things, and see you again soon. Goodbye.